Son of a nutcracker.
Do you have an extra pen I could borrow? I know I don't have one of this.
Let's see.
Chris, nice job on the music the other night.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was really good.
It was so good.
Yeah, it'll be good to do it without all the talking and just play tunes next time.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be good. Whoops.
Yeah, people are already talking about
Yeah,
going out
it
on
just
the
has to be
patio
on
and
tape.
Okay.
bringing wine.
And then the
How many
minutes-
could we have up there?
The minutes say 20
Not
minutes.
as many as we had in there, I don't think.
Okay, all right, thanks.
We met twice. in
But
November.
we could set chairs up down on,
Somebody said we
Street.
just set up chairs in the parking lot across the street.
Right, it's getting ready.
They can bring lawn chairs.
music on Main from the library.
Yeah.
We'll have our own little
I'm sure
concert,
that
huh?
would work great, but
Thanks.
we'll see.
I think you get to be a great music on Main band too, by the way.
Maybe
Oh, I think that would be
All right, you're
fun.
getting ready to go live. It should go here in just a second or two.
as a different, an alternative to the stuff that they usually do, I guess.
I think Rapid City usually kind of does that once in the summer.
Yeah.
They have a kind of a big band, or they used to. I don't know. I haven't been.
Well,
there.
yeah, I've played there once or twice. They had a Frank Sinatra impersonator.
Good to go.
All right, we are ready
No
to
red
go.
light?
No,
All right.
no red light anymore.
I am going to call to order the Sturgis Public Library Board of Trustees meeting, 25 January. Let me start with approval of the agenda. If there's anything on the agenda, is there anyone that has any thing they want to pull or change the order? I would like to make one comment. I would like to add under new business, or maybe it's unfinished business, but I'd like Lisa to update us on the iCompass account that library board members will be getting information from. So I will add that on to new business. Are there any other additions? Okay. We vote on that? Do we need to? Don't think so. Okay. All right. If everyone had an opportunity to look at the minutes from 30 November 22, which seems so long ago, but if you can review those, if you did look at those in your packet, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, any discussion? All those in favor of approving the library board minutes from 30 November, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Bills and accounts.
All right. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's a little bit longer since it was from December and part of January, although we haven't spent much money yet, so there's not a lot there. In the city register, we're still processing bills from Baker and Taylor. They were hacked twice at the end of last year, and so orders that were placed were taking a while to get processed. So I think we've got everything finally. So some of that we're dealing with now, but it still comes out of last year's budget, and hopefully that's all taken care of at this point. I think there might be a couple of back orders, but that would be a different, that would end up, I guess, getting billed under this year. The checking account, we have had a couple of people give us donations for Ernest Miller. In fact, there's another one that we just got today. So I will set up, I have little sub-accounts in Quicken for other memorials that were set up, and so I will do that, and so that we know how much of the money and that'll get put into savings. So how much of the money in savings is in his name, and so I'll have updates for that at the next meeting. The memorial and miscellaneous savings account, which is where all of those donations and funds are set up, you can see has 25 279 in it right now. The other savings account that doesn't say what it is other than savings, that's Dunn Trust savings that we left at First Interstate. And so that's sitting at 32.6. And then I have included the Alice Wiggins Dunn Trust information. That it's going to be February is the next time we see money put in that. February 24th is the next one that we'll see, and so that's all good. And then I included the Black Hills Area Community Foundation. I just got that on, I think, Monday or Tuesday, and that's up a little bit. So that's nice. After going down through a lot of last year, fourth quarter, it came back a little bit. So that's promising. And we haven't received, I can't remember when they ask us if we want to reinvest the interest generated or not. That's usually should be sometime here soon, I think, isn't it?
February, if I remember.
February, yeah. Because it always seems to come right after a meeting. So we'll just reinvest that like we always do. And yeah, that's it for bills.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any questions or concerns on bills and accounts? I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been moved by Kathy. Second?
I'll second.
Preston, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, questions? All those in favor of approving the bills and accounts signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Reports. Chris, if you would like to
Right.
take us
Yes,
through the
I will.
reports.
Before that, I'm sorry, can you tell me who approved minutes, who made the motion and seconded?
I made the motion.
Kathy,
For minutes,
oh, minutes.
minutes, sorry,
Yes.
minutes.
Terry and Lance.
Lance second.
So you did, Terry? Okay. Okay, all right. So the KPIs for the month are good. Nothing out of the ordinary. Adult program attendance is up already a little bit. But we've had a couple of good events, so hopefully we can continue that. That's one of the goals for this year is to try to boost our adult program, our adult programming. The donations, like I said, we have some money, $70 so far in the Ernie Miller Memorial. We received $2,000 from the Sturgis Rally Charities for the summer reading program, which is great. And also $300 from United Way for a program they're doing called Race to Read. And so that money is for, I think we're going to use it for a party to celebrate the end. And so, yeah, so that's great. We've got Stage Barn Middle School is our art exhibit right now. We'll have the high school in February, and then in March we start up with the Crossroads stuff, which will be a photography exhibit. Nothing out of the ordinary with meetings, really, or programming. There's a link that I added to the Race to Read if anybody is interested in participating. It goes through, I think, the middle of next month. Basically, any book you read, you just let us know when we mark it, and then we have a little racetrack or a little map of South Dakota, and every book you read is a mile, and so the little cars get moved per mile. We're doing it with the departments. Each department, when they read books, they get to go, their car gets to move a little bit, and so we'll see which department reads the most books at the end of the month. And yeah,
No, it's not, because my car hasn't moved.
Friendly competition.
well, that's all good.
Collective car I'm with.
It's all good. And unlike the penny war, you can't take away books. So it's all positive. It's all positive. The Museum on Main Street calendar is complete, and I included that in your packets so you can see what local events we've got going on. So we're shooting for about one event a week, which we got, and a couple of weeks we have 2 things going on. So that's great. One of the things that came up kind of out of the blue just a couple weeks ago is a friend of mine who has done a lot of studying in Moldova, has some Ukrainian friends who he's bringing out to perform in the area. And the Music Speaks in April, this group, which is flute, violin, accordion, and bass, they're going to perform during Music Speaks.
Wow.
and maybe talk a little bit about changes that happened in rural Ukraine over at least their memories, so we can kind of get an international perspective on Crossroads and see if things are different over there or not. So that should be pretty cool. Gurdan is the name of the group. They're actually based out of Washington, D.C. right now, is where they all live, or in the area. So it'll be exciting to have them out here. So lots of good stuff with that. Also, we will need docents for the Crossroads exhibit. We're hoping to have probably 4 or 5 people that we can use to give tours to schools, but also if anybody wants to schedule a tour ahead of time and have somebody talk about it with them, we'll have docents, which we've had in the past with the other exhibits. And we need a setup and tear down crew, which the Arts Council is working on that as well, and judges for our essay contest. So we're having a meeting tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get a bunch of that stuff set up. Other than that, I think that's all in pretty good shape. We'll start sending out advertising here pretty soon, Facebook posts and all sorts of stuff about what's coming up so people can know. I included the poster for the photography contest and for the essay contest, so if you want to post those somewhere or just share it with people, that'd be great. Hopefully we'll get a lot of photographs in to put up, because that'll be our art exhibit during Crossroads. So so that's exciting. We had Sturgis Photo and Gifts is giving us some prizes to give away, photography framing packages. They're giving us 2, and then we'll pay for the other 2 out of grant money that we're getting to put this on from the Humanities Council. So so everything's looking good with that. We had a water line break on the 23rd of December. Lance was there at just the right time to help with cleanup on that. It's a line in the ceiling that goes down in the wall and comes out at the spigot that's right outside the doors on Sherman Street. Somewhere in the wall, the pipe froze, must have, and so we managed to get that shut off and soaked up all the water. That was on Friday. I came in on Saturday and pulled another 6 gallons of water out of the carpet in the Sherman Street entrance. The children's area that was partially flooded, all that carpet had dried up pretty well, which when a piece of it came up that we glued back down, and when you look at it, it makes sense that it would have dried quickly because there isn't really any place for that water to go. So the fans on it took care of that. But the valve is shut off that leads to that, and it'll get fixed sometime in the spring. So we just need to remember to make sure to close that valve in the winter from here on out, I guess. But yeah, Lance was there and helped us clean up a bunch of stuff, and Joanne from finance happened to be in, and she helped a bunch too, and so it was great. So we got all that done, and luckily it happened on Friday and not on Saturday the 24th, because then Tuesday the 26th would have been a little bit scary, perhaps. I mean, there were a couple of drains that everything should have drained out, so as long as those were working, it shouldn't have ruined any books, but at any rate, it didn't, so we're all good. Knock on wood.
And we did submit that to the city's property
Yes.
coverage, and so,
Yeah.
if there is further damage once we open up the walls, there will be some assistance on paying for those repairs.
All right. And other stuff, we have the a library of things that's slowly starting to build. In fact, our OBD reader that you plug into your car has already gone out once, which is nice. And the radon detector, I think, is out right now, too. The ghost hunting kit has gone out a couple of times.
Really?
One dad checked it out because his daughter was having a sleepover, and he said they loved it. They played with it for about 6 hours and then were scared the rest of the night and afraid to go to sleep. So, so that was cool. We just got in 2 state park passes, which is a new program between the state library and the game fish and parks. They're distributing passes to libraries around the state if you wanted them, and so we requested some. And so we have 2 of them. They're good for 3 days at a time at any of the state parks. So you can come in and check it out if you've got family and want to go visit Custer or whatever, and so you can check it out and use it for that. And so, yeah, so that's a great, hopefully that'll get used a lot and they'll keep the program going. The only thing you have to do when you check it out is when you're done, a little QR code that you scan on your phone and then fill out a quick survey so that Game Fish and Parks can track usage and see if it's a good deal. So, so that's kind of exciting. So we're happy to have those to go out as well. One other thing on reports, I had talked about swapping out our AT&T hotspots for T-Mobile hotspots. There's a company that has a program for nonprofits, and the cost is $120 a year for a hotspot. For service, it's $15 for the hotspot, $120 a year. Versus right now we're paying about $53 a month per hotspot. So I ordered one in once we started the new year. I had Merman take it out to her place, and she said it works great. So I think coverage is going to be good. So I'm going to start buying more of those and then stop our AT&T contract because that money was all paid for through a grant, or all those hotspots were paid for with a grant that ran out in, I think, October. So, so this will definitely help with being able to afford that. And then we'll keep looking for, we may be eligible for even more of a discount. I'm not sure, but I'm looking into some other ways we can pay for that. So, so we'll be replacing those this year. And one of the old hotspots has already quit working, which we've had them for 2 or 3 years, so I think that's probably not unexpected, because they get a lot of use and abuse, and connections are breaking and stuff. So it was probably time anyway, but this will be a lot nicer way to go. And I think that's about it for board reports.
Well, thank you.
Unless there's anything else that you guys have questions about.
Thank you for that. And I mean, it's exciting to see all the new things coming in. Those are exciting, and I can attest that the hotspots, yes, are very well used, because
Yeah, they're out pretty much
I
all the
would be able to
time.
work from home if I wasn't borrowing this hotspot, because my doesn't work well. And then thank you for all the attention to detail on the museum on Main Street. I mean, March 13th is going to be here before we know it, so
Yes.
it's kind of exciting. So
Yeah.
no unfinished business, but if you could just move right into any new business, Chris.
Yeah. So as far as new business, I wanted to first start by welcoming the new slate of officers, or in this case, officer, although Kelly is online listening, I hope, and Kristen was unable to make it today. But we will need to transfer over bank account stuff, and that's a matter of going and visiting Janine. And if we get done early enough today, we can probably go do that and at least get the paperwork started. So thanks for that, and welcome. Looking forward to working with you guys. The next thing up is local author donations and signings policy review. And this is just part of our ongoing renewal, or review process, I should say, not renewal. But Lance has a few Suggestions as far as wording, which I can put up here for us to look at, because it's probably easier to look at it than to try to talk about where we want to make the changes. So, Lance, do you want to talk about that a little bit and explain? 'Cause like I don't, did you change a couple things? You changed things already, right?
Thanks, Chris. All very minor, just basically to make it a little bit easier to read, in my opinion. As I said, I suggest these are just suggestions, and certainly open to any others around any changes I made there.
So on the second one, local area authors who come to the library in person, it says drop in. Do you want just local area authors who come to the library to sell copies? Okay, so get rid of in person?
Drop in, I
Okay.
think, was the language that I suggested
Oh,
we
oh,
change.
okay. So you want it the way it's written? Okay.
Even without the words in person, it accomplishes the same thing.
Right, right, okay, that's what you added, okay, I get it, all right.
That's what I said.
And then additionally, yeah, should plan to host, and reserve a meeting room for this purpose, if available. Grammatically, I would say, I hate to start going down this rabbit hole, but if available, under book signings, you could read that, if the author is available. Authors that wish to host a book signing should do it if available. So we may need to,
You're talking about the meeting room.
yeah, we're talking about the meeting room, not the author. So that may be something that we could just get rid of as well. To reserve a meeting room for this purpose. Because the library would be under no objection to promote, well, I guess that's separate, but,
But your reserve policies would kick in at that point. Your
Right.
Reservation policy, so I think you could get rid of that if available.
yeah,
You know, because if
And
it's
so
not
that would-
avail- you know, if the room's not available, your reservation policy.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's not available.
yeah. Yeah, and that was probably put in, well, who knows why it was put in, but yeah, maybe if we get rid of that too, so, yeah, and I think that's probably good. Does anybody have any other suggestions?
Do you have, this is kind of I'm just not aware, do you have an art donation policy too? Like a local artist that wants to donate with this is obviously just talking about
Right.
books.
We don't. We have a book donation policy, but we don't have an art donation policy. And some of the donation policies I had looked at when we were crafting the book donation, not the local author, but the regular book donation, combined that with gifts, art donations, money, all sorts of stuff. But I decided to pull that out. But that's something that we can look into.
I just wonder if you got any more donations than local artists, or, you know. or
Yeah,
religious
and this
authors,
is, and this is just specific to
books.
books and book signings, I think, more than also. Yeah, it probably wouldn't be bad to do an art policy.
Any other discussion or possible additions to this? Chris, what I would ask is that if you could just make some of the revisions to this and then send this out, and then we'll just put this on the agenda for
Yep.
that first reading in February.
Yeah. Yep, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. And then, I guess new mobile hotspots was under new business. Sorry, my bad. Before we get to that, though, I did include for you guys a copy, just as a reminder of what our budget numbers are for this year. We do have a new line item under repairs and maintenance, which is building maintenance, which we have 2,800 for. And this money is used for ongoing repairs to the building, things that we know are coming up that we can budget for. It's not for emergency things, but, for example, the linoleum in the work area is and has been falling apart for a long time. That, something needs to be done about that. The shelf upstairs, above the newspapers that looks down, that is cracked and really should be replaced. The table, I guess the other third big project that needs some attention is the desk in the alcove upstairs where we have public computers, is pulling away from the wall and sagging, and one end of it has never had any kind of finishing on it, and so something needs to be done with that, whether it's alcoves, carrels kind of for one computer in each, or just a new table. So those are things that need to be done, and I was bring that up because I wonder if the council has any thoughts about those or any other issues that they think need to get fixed in the library. I'm imagining 2,800 will probably get us one thing, maybe. It just depends. Like the shelf upstairs, that countertop is Corian, and I'm not sure it needs to be replaced with that. Some sort of covered, cabinetry or covered countertop might work better as far as structural integrity, because there's a big gap, and I think the reason that it cracked is because somebody climbed up there to sit on it, and their weight just cracked it, because that stuff is just, it's a solid composite, and I don't think was built to handle that. But something else, pressed wood or something, would underneath a laminate would probably be a stronger material. But that's something that a cabinet tree person would be able to tell us more. So anyway, your thoughts on that, if anybody has any?
Is there a capital budget that we can request funds from for these things? Capital improvement
Not really.
through the city? No.
The reason this came about is because the city hall budget for stuff like that is already used up for other things, whether it's maintenance of HVAC or anything else. So that's why I was looking for some other material. And then if there was extra expenses, then we would have to either come up with some fundraising or ask the city council if they could help us out
Or
somehow.
shift, because you guys budgeted for the hot spots, there's some savings there.
Well, we didn't actually budget
you
for the
didn't?
hot spots. That's
Okay.
that's one of the reasons we're getting rid of the ones we have now, is because we don't have $5,000, $6,000 in our budget to cover hot spots. And they're so popular, we need to keep them because they're used all the time. So,
Well, darn.
yeah.
But you could shift money too within the budget, you have that authority.
I don't see a reason why the council wouldn't, those are pretty important repairs or maintenance, all of that every piece of equipment up there, furniture is kind of vital to the library's function, so I'm 100% for it, but we can chat with the rest of the council as well, gladly.
Okay,
So, I think
yeah. Those three repairs, I don't even know how much it would be to replace the linoleum. I don't know what prices of that are and
How does that process work, Chris? Do you submit something to the council?
I don't know, to be
Oh.
honest. I assume my first thing would be to find
Estimates.
somebody to come and estimate what it would cost, and then start going from there, once we had a ballpark figure.
And then it would be to
Probably
take it,
help with your request to go through the city if you had an
Yeah.
idea.
I would say you'd have to exhaust kind of everything within the budget, looking around saying, okay, we really don't have any allocation available. And then talk to the city, and maybe there is some space in the buildings budget. I don't know what
Right.
that budget looks like. And then
Yeah.
looking at that and kind of going from there. But I think once you've got an idea of how much it costs, maybe you'll be surprised. Maybe, I don't know what.
Yeah, I was looking at countertops yesterday, in fact, and I'm guessing to replace that, if we used a laminate countertop, the just the countertop itself would be close to 600, depending on what we chose. And that's not installation. And installation, I imagine, would probably be close to that.
Unless we had somebody on staff, you know, do the labor. You're just kind of exploring those options
Yeah.
once we know what your cost constraints
Well,
are.
I kind of wonder with the alcove table is that it was done by someone who maybe didn't know as much as they thought they did. And that's why and I mean, when you look at it, I don't know who did it, but it was not done very well. It was not set to be permanent. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was, you know, meant to be temporary. If you look at it, it kind of looks like it was jury rigged together. So, yeah. And like replacing that with 4 carols would be like $1,600 at least, if not more.
Would
Those.
the carols be better for that area, or?
You know, that's a good question, because right now, that gets used a lot by kids after school, and whatever game they're playing, they all coordinate with each other. So if they were all in separate carols, they would still be talking to each other, but louder.
Good point.
And so having it all there in a line like that is, it makes sense that way. Privacy issues for people, the carols would be a more private place for them to be doing, you know, for looking at email, whatever they're doing in there, that, you know, without it being totally private, it would be a little more private for them. So you can argue both ways, and I don't know. We've been talking about that amongst the staff, and we're not quite sure which way we want to go yet. So, yeah.
If you can just add that to the February agenda, and then we can get an update on,
Okay, so I'll start looking at some estimates.
yeah, that would be an option too, Chris, is maybe to let board members that have time to go and take a look and see. That way we have a visual of what that area looks
Oh,
like.
yeah, yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. Field
Yeah.
trip?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
you all need to
Appreciate
bring
that.
your permission slips. And then we'll do that. Yeah. Yeah, and so new mobile hotspots, I already talked about.
Okay.
And then iCompass is, I guess, the last thing on new business, and Lisa can share that
Lisa.
with us.
Yes. So basically, about a year ago, the city council moved to a meeting management platform, and they've been using it pretty exclusively for a little bit over a year. All of last year, we kind of transitioned all the other public meetings to this platform. So Parks Department, MUB, Planning and Zoning, I'm like, there's one more, have all kind of moved toward. Chris was very gracious to let me get through the whole year-end stuff and kind of train him after the fact. Otherwise, we would have done this back in November, if that's on me. And so we will be training here in February. It will change the delivery method. Instead of getting the agenda emailed to you with a packet, you will go out to this portal, you will log in, and it will have your packet. So it'll have your agenda, it'll have all of the items that are added to it for things that are confidential in nature, like your guys' financials for your Grace Wiggins done and some of those other things that are confidential to the library board operations. Chris will be able to add those as a closed agenda item. You'll be able to see those, but the general public would not. So it does make it a little bit easier in that regard, that, you know, he's not sending something going, okay, these are the things that are, you know, for the public, a packet, and these are the things that aren't. You will have the ability to, the live stream that you're doing currently will broadcast out to Facebook, to YouTube, as well as the portal. What is nice about that is once the agenda is in the portal and all the packets, as the person is watching the video, they can click over to the packet item. So when you're looking at the policy that you guys were looking at earlier, they could go find it in the packet, see and hear the audio from your guys' meeting, and see whatever they might want to be looking at in that. Chris will be able to do the minutes within this software, and so then it actually will make things a little bit easier on him because the motions and all of that, it's somewhat automated. It's something that the council has wanted everybody to be migrating towards. It also has the ability to store the documents kind of for posterity. So when you can't find the email with the packet in it from a year ago, all that information will be archived out on the website. You will get, I will resend out the link that you should have gotten. If you have issues with that, please call me. We'll just reset the password verbally over the phone. Then you guys can get it sometimes when it gets resent. But you're going out to something called iCompass. You'll log in. You will kind of navigate to it. When Chris sets the agenda, he will notify you. You will get an email with a link that says, here's the packet. Here's any closed items that might be. So you'll still get an email from Chris. It'll just come from the system with a link directly to that packet. It'll also be public so that anybody who is interested in the library operations and wants to go out to the website, then they will actually have the packet as well. So it's a little bit better communication with your constituents. Your agenda will have your logo on it. It will have your mission statement. It will have your, I think your vision is also on your agenda. I can't remember. So it'll have those items. It'll have your meeting details. So it will look like your guys' agenda. It will have the same look and feel of the items in the order. So it is not going to look like the city council agenda. It will have your unfinished business, your finished business, your new business. Those items will all look the same. It will just be accessed a little bit differently. And I'm here to help. So yeah, Chris and I will train, and then he'll be able to set these agendas and do it. What's also nice about it is next year when he has the similar agenda items that come up, he can just copy and paste the staff reports and things like that to make it a little less work on his part if he's doing some kind of formal report for you.
All right. So for February meeting, we will
Yes.
expect that.
Yep. Because we're training in the first or second week of February again because Chris is being very gracious and working around my schedule.
All right.
It should have happened
Yeah,
last
and
spring, so that's on me. So
No.
Thank you, Lisa.
if you want to take the blame, that's
It
fine
is.
with
It
me,
is
but,
mine. I will take the blame on this one. This is
I
totally
think
me.
there's enough to go around.
So,
And
but
I'm
it
just
is,
gonna-
Preston can speak to it. I think Lance, you also are in and out of it periodically, but it is it's a user-friendly software platform, and
Wonderful.
I think I logged onto it last year, didn't I? One time, didn't you help me with that? Or you
possibly
tried?
I've helped so many people. I
Yeah.
don't remember.
I tried, I couldn't get in.
It's
Sorry, I
possible.
haven't had time.
And Kelly, just checking in with you online. Did you hear that? Any questions, Kelly?
I heard it when it didn't come out of me a few times, but February we're gonna get trained.
Yes, your new packet will come to you in February via this portal.
Sounds good.
And we just have to know that if we have questions, we contact Lisa.
Yes.
So-
Chris will be fully trained. He'll be able to help
Or
you too.
Chris.
I'll tell you to ask Lisa.
All right.
Works great.
Access is on me again. The access, getting your password and all that set up, that is my role as a system administrator. Chris will help you with the agenda and items that you might want to have.
Thank you, Lisa. Any other questions? Preston got it down, so I think we'll figure it out. Thank you, Lisa. At this time, I would entertain a motion to move into executive session for personnel issues. We have a motion? And a second? All right. I think that was it for executive session.
There's actually
Oh.
a couple of things that
Yes.
I
All right. At this time, is there any public comment? All right, seeing none. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 22nd, 2023 at 4 p.m. here at the library. And that is all we have. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All right, we'll see you in February.
Great.
Great, thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.